And welcome everyone to yet another week in the Satsang for the Soul with this magical Lee Green and myself, Mark Bentley. Hey Lee, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you. How are you doing?
Yeah, let me just get these screens in the right spot. And there we go. Yeah, we got the old live stream here. So give me 2 seconds while we get these all into position. All right, fantastic. Now, for some reason, it's not letting me do spotlight here. Oh, hang on. I think I've worked it out. We'll do a little shuffling around while we get these pins in the right spot. Still not offering spotlight. Anyone watching live, it's always the fun when you're doing live streams. It all makes sense until it doesn't.
True.
Well, I tell you what, I'm just going to pin our videos and we'll just have to go with that and see how it flows. And I'll work out that issue with the spotlight
Sounds
another
good.
day.
Sounds good.
You ready for another session?
Good morning to all of you listening in this part of the world where it's morning, and good evening to all of you listening where it's evening in your time.
Transcending time and space.
Starting off our satsang for the soul with some music. Here's a song from the album. It's called Sunlight. waiting for the sunlight, waiting for the day. I'm tired of this old life. Carry me away. There's no room for darkness to loom, for there's a light in the sky, high above the moon, high above the moon, bright as the night sky, kind as a warm heart. You're gonna go beyond far. That is who you are, that is who you are. There's no room for darkness to loom, for there's a light in the sky, high above the moon, high above the moon. It's calling to you, yeah, would you believe when I say that what seems to be the light has made it through, yeah, oh, this is the day. There's no darkness through the night, and oh, while we're waiting for the sunlight, and no more waiting for the day. I'm tired of this old life. Carry me away. Waiting for the sunlight. Carry me away. Carry me away. Carry me away. Good morning and good evening, folks. Mark, take it away.
I tell you what, Lee, from that, I just want to bask in that magic. It's I know he talks about doing a little meditation, but I'm kind of feeling just to sit with that and the energy that you've just kind of brought in there and kind of explore that a little bit with a bit of contemplation, if you're up for that.
Absolutely.
Great. So, as you were playing that, I just, really, it got me thinking, we're in this yellow star wave spell, art, beauty, and elegance, right? And often setting up a live stream and doing these things, the logical brain has to come in. You have to think about, we're going to 3 different places. Is this going? And then that kind of masculine bit. And I'm sure many people are familiar with that feeling that when you're under those kinds of things and you're thinking about these different bits and pieces, we have these kind of defense mechanisms, these kinds of, things we put into place to protect that sweeter, vulnerable side of ourselves while we're kind of almost on the battlefront of organization, right? And I was just noticing as you were playing, watching how just the frequency of your words, we're just kind of melting that and just moving it back and just watching the little bit of the masculine brain that's like almost, just out of habit, looking for what's the next thing that needs to be taken care of. And then as your song just melted, it really brought me into just visualizing and seeing, the importance of human connection, of music, of art and creativity, and it's that potency that has been with us since the beginning of time. You know, we look at all the ancient, you know, civilizations, you know, there was music, there was culture, there was creativity, you know, many different ways of facilitating this process. And it really feels like since the COVID thing kind of came in about, you know, a bit over a year and a half ago, whatever it was, in a way, it's almost done a favor of amplifying how much we're lacking that in the world by just taking it away completely from being able to be together. Because I know we talked about yesterday, you know, you haven't been doing gigs, you haven't been doing concerts around the world. And that's kind of the job of the cosmic scientist, right? The yellow star is to weave the human connections, to weave the beauty of the fabric of humanity through frequency. We haven't had that in a real solid way for a long time. And so I just kind of really grateful. I just wanted to sit with that and just have appreciation for your song and for you.
Means a lot. Thank you. And it's true, right? I feel like all over the world we have been on this pause, you know. And I think, I guess in a way, what is left when there's just silence and there's no other thing to listen to, you know. And now I feel like hopefully sometime soon music is going to come back when we're coming out of hibernation, you know. In a way, I feel like maybe instead of having all these different things as other things to do, we're really left with no music, no nothing, just silence, and just be able to like, okay, process. And then I feel like now we're just you know, maybe beginning to come out of that, maybe not. So thank you. I really appreciate you. It really means a lot for me as an artist.
It's I'm just pouring a little tea here, and it's actually a what was it called? It was something star, winter star or something like that. It's like an old 1990s pu'er tea from China, you know, and it's been sitting there for a long time. Well, 30 years. But I've had it in my cupboard for a while, and I really felt the calling this morning to pour the tea, and I'm just sitting there appreciating, you know, then taking it that next step further, just hearing your words, you know, like as you're expressing that. And you know, how powerful gratitude is, you know, both for the person expressing it, but for the person receiving, you know, it really is like the, you know, the true economics of life, right? You know, we look in the world, it's like, give some money for a service. And it's like, well, really, when we boil it right down and take all that out of it, it's down to really just the joy of giving and the joy of receiving and the gratitude and just how that exchange works. And as you were sharing that, I was just then realizing, like, you know, it doesn't matter how rich you are, right? It doesn't matter how much stuff you have, how many nice cars, how big your bank account is, you know, none of those things matter if you don't have the presence to enjoy them. Right. And it's like, I've had this tea for so long sitting in that cupboard, neglected, right? And in a way, that's a form of ungratefulness, you know, a lack of gratitude for what I have in my life. And then watching how synchronicity weaves it all in, you know, together, you know, the perfection with your song, the tea, just the sharing and the gratitude with each other. And like, you know, in some ways, that's as simple as it needs to be, right? No matter what noise is going on, no matter what's happening, that's kind of there for us all the time.
It's amazing that you're talking about words and power of words, and how words can really have that effect, you know, in a sense, words through songs, and then words of appreciation from someone that's listening to the song, and how those words of appreciation inspires another to write more words. And it's just this beautiful order, synchronic order
Mm,
of just, it just keeps on growing, and it will keep on creating beautiful things.
mm. And just having that exchange, right? And that authenticity. And so, and then it's, I was looking at the 1320 Sync app. So if anyone ever wants to track the Mayan dream spell, which is what Lee and I do a lot of work with, and kind of whether we mention it or not in these calls, there'll be times I'm sure we don't. It's underlying and underpinning, a lot of our flow. But I was looking at it, and this archetype of the yellow overtone human, it's like we're in this yellow star wave spell, right? Which is about art, elegance, and beauty. It's about how do we take the happenings of our lives and stitch it into a storyline that brings beauty and some kind of depth to our experience, right? And the overtone, whenever you see this overtone, it's the clues in how to empower this energy in your world. And I looked at this yellow overtone human, and the yellow human is very much like the wisdom keeper. It's the one. It's the beauty of what makes us human, right? Is our capacity to influence each other with our wisdom, not to force each other, but to influence with sharing our wisdom. And it's interesting, that when we think about this concept of influences, because it's on BitClout, which if you're watching this on YouTube or somewhere, we're kind of anchoring this on BitClout, supporting this new platform that's really supporting creators, supporting art and the rest to be empowered. So you can go check that out, bitclout.com, anytime you like. But on this platform, you've got a new breed of influencers, right? There's a lot of people are coming in, and a lot of the time you hear this conversation where they go, oh, you're an influencer. And the person's like, oh, no, I'm not an influencer, because they associate it with this idea of Facebook, Instagram, these very synthetic influencers who are influencing simply for the sake of getting known and making a name so they can sell brands, right? Which is a very synthetic kind of purposeless intention for influencing. Whereas what I'm seeing arising to the surface, even on traditional social media, but especially on BitClout, because it's an environment that's conducive to it, and in our communities, I think it's important we start reconnecting with the influencer in us. We start owning this aspect of the influencer in each of us, and really bringing back the storytellers and the bards and the musicians and the artists, so that we can start to influence through storytelling rather than through lecturing, right? Instead of being right and wrong, we can actually start having conversation. And this yellow overtone human was really, sparking in me that how important it is for us to be willing to stand in our own command, to for better or worse, that look, to let go of this need to be perfect, but rather that we are, who was it? There was a brilliant man the other day on a podcast was saying, humans are a process. We're not a thing. We're a process that's always happening, right? It's a process of all these experiences, all these sensations, all this stuff that's coming from around us, then being absorbed into this alchemical cauldron that is our vehicle, right? And then we have these minds that are these conceptualization, computers that take all this data and then weave it together. And it's like consciousness then just gets to kind of revel in it, right? Like gets to watch that movie. And so the moment we try to be right and the moment we try to get things right, we shut off that connection. We shut off that relationship, that flow. And then we start judging each other. And the moment I start judging you for being right or wrong, I've already judged myself, right? To even be in that position. And once we start in that place, that intimacy cuts and then no one's listening. And so it's, so yeah, it's just been a bit of a rambling contemplation, just of, how important it is that kind of in a way we stop caring on one level about what everyone thinks about us, because that's not our business. But we just stick with caring about others not what they think about us, but just caring about how are they, right? And caring about each other and caring about ourselves, but not caring about their business or their mind in that sense.
Overtone, human. It's I always think of the elders with the yellow human archetype, and thank you for bringing in the perspective of influencers and what that really means. You know, influencers are that's like our new term of a new label yet again.
Yeah.
Having some clout. That's really what it means. Being in a position where you have access to a lot of people and a lot of people are listening to you, which in a sense, in the olden days, this is what the elders are all about. You know, we'll listen to them. They're the ones in the community that holds the wisdom. And what is this wisdom that we're talking about? The wisdom of their experience. So when you said earlier, it's not about lecturing, but storytelling, things like that, like this is really what the yellow human archetype represents. A lot of indigenous peoples, they pass on the wisdom through songs, through prayers, poetry. It's all oral transmission. It's oral traditions. They're mostly never written. It's only recently probably that, you know, it's been put down into words and pen and paper. But most of them are through incantations and, you know, through the ceremonies, through the songs. And it's really beautiful. And I think if we look at influencers at this modern age, you know, this digital age that we are in, what a world it would be if everyone who's in that position of influencing others can share from experience, truly, and not just repeating what we've heard from another.
That's a really good point.
And then we think about discernment nowadays. How do we discern what is the truth? What do we want to share with people that are listening to us? And what an incredible responsibility that is. Can we really take responsibility of that power given to us by people? And I think on overtone days, you know, in the spiritual plane of existence or reality, it's all about illuminating, radiating, empowering. And what does it illumine in our system right now? How can we create beauty in the world? And what does beauty even mean? You know, when we look at nature, what does that mean? Beauty could mean diversity, because nature is so diverse and nature just allows everything to grow and flourish. Nature just allows everybody to be who they are, you know. And these are the threads that are coming to me right now, you know, when we talk about yellow overtone human. We talk about that ability to take on that responsibility to lead your people, because in a way that's your little tribe, your little, you know, group of people following you online. They're like your little tribe, and they obviously you've done something that they like, and they're following you. They're interested in what you're saying. So I guess the invitation to, when you are in that position, is what is our responsibility? How are we taking them forward? Are we pulling them only in our story? Are we taking this opportunity of this platform to really radiate light? Light is simply information. Just like the sun sending information 24/7 on the earth.
Speaking of which, I was out there in the winter sun, feeling that sun, like, you know, on the skin. And I think winter is a great time to really feel the sun, you know, and just feel that. Because like you say, it's light is language, right? It really is. And that's where art, you know, whether it's music obviously has voice and frequency, but the image as well shares so much in that. And I think it's you know, with what you're sharing there, Lee, it's, you know, it really is that thing of coming back to our experience and as influence. And I think this is the part where it needs the courage, right? This is where the elders, they earn their place through having the courage to enter into life experience, to extract the lessons and acknowledge their mistakes, you know, to acknowledge the places that didn't go the way it could have gone, to acknowledge the places where they might have hurt someone else or done something that was not of the highest integrity, right? And be able to, because in a way, it's like that's responsibility, right? Ability to respond. It's like responding to each situation, whatever happens, and being willing to be real about it. And I'm seeing that as one of the real keys to our time to kind of coming into this place of empowerment, is being willing to acknowledge when you're wrong, acknowledge when maybe, you know, the way you wanted to do things wasn't the right way. And then being able to actually share from that place, right? Because again, it's this thing where so often, you know, especially in spiritual communities, you know, I remember on Facebook, you'd see it a lot. And, you know, there's almost like that left brain masculine approach to this idea of storytelling and sharing in order to influence your tribe into the right direction. It often comes sometimes from again, a very superficial kind of concept that we know what the best direction for everyone is, as opposed to actually leading by example, right? Leading by sharing the stories of what hasn't worked and what has worked in the past, not from a place of, so this means this is the right direction, but more so from, make sure you're listening, you know, like you say, with discernment to these stories of where we've come from, so that you don't need to do all that work. You don't need to try everything all over again. But often if people try to do that traditional influencer where they, you know, kind of say, oh, this is what you should do, this is where it needs to go, that's right, that's wrong. When they come from that kind of place, then it's kind of just disconnecting people from their own wisdom, you know, from being able to cultivate their own wisdom. And funnily enough, begins to create cults, right? Little sects of belief systems where everyone has to agree that that's the right way. And if you don't agree with that person's right way, then you find another person who points that way. And I think one of the appeals to that to people, and I know for me as well, is that life does feel easier if somebody else is the one taking responsibility, right? Like life can, when we're not feeling strong in ourselves, when we're insecure, we're kind of feeling a bit shaky in life, or we haven't quite discovered ourselves yet or found our own unique power, it feels on a kind of, again, surface level, very like almost safe to have somebody else just tell you what to do, tell you what's right or wrong, right? And I think that's an important thing for people that are in that place, that there are leaders that can, you know, hold that role as best they can, you know, in the time. But I think we're coming into a place now where I'm seeing people waking up really fast, and people are ready now. I really do feel like people are ready to start hearing the truth, you know, hearing authenticity, and truth being your experience, you know, like you're saying with the elders, that wisdom is their truth. Anything beyond this moment can't be truth, because that doesn't exist. Or it kind of exists in some kind of radial timeline, but it's not here in that sense. And so it's, yeah.
In a way, I feel when we look at a perspective of someone that is still in the beginning of that kind of journey, of learning about oneself and starting to be curious about learning about the world, there is, and I think that's why there are teachers, you know, guru from Sanskrit word guru. It means the one who takes us out of the darkness of ignorance into the light of our awareness.
Mm.
And right now, there's so many teachers on the planet. So there's so many different perspectives of what is truth, and so many choices. And I see the yellow star wave spell that we are in. And when we, for those listening that is just starting to dip their toes into the mind dream spell, wave spells are like 13-day cycle of periods dedicated to one archetype. It means that the spiritual evolution or energy is moving around that archetype and what that archetype represents. And for this 13 days, in New York, it's still the 5th day. Where we are, it's already the 6th day. And it's a 13-day period of the wave spell of Yellow Star. And Yellow Star key codes are all about art, elegance, and beauty. And during these wave spells, what I find that's equally important is to look at the polarity, the antipode, the challenge of this archetype, because that's usually what comes up for me. For everybody else, it would be different. But for me, it's tackling the opposite of this archetype. So every archetype, there are 20. 10 sits in front of the other 10. They balance each other, and they're each other's strength, and they're each other's challenge, if that makes sense. So when we look at, polarity, duality, for one to make sense, there has to be a presence of the opposite. They both validate each other. So Yellow Star's opposite is called the white mirror. Yellow Star is all about beauty, 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 creating beauty, order, right? And the white mirror is all about, if there is some bullshit in the air, we gotta look at it. We can't just sweep it under the rug and pretend that everything is beautiful. And the challenge of just maintaining status quo, don't rock the boat, don't create anything ugly unnecessarily. Let's just go with the flow. And I think there's a gem in that, when we look into the white mirror right now in this wave spell, because when we think about the yellow star, when I think about the yellow star, is how am I creating beauty in my world? But before I can even think of that question is, what creates disorder in my world? What area of my life do I feel a sense of disorganization, chaos, unnecessary things that are just there that needs to be need to be cleaned up? I think perhaps creating beauty is not so much of doing, maybe, but maybe it's also something as simple as recognizing the dirt that is around our living spaces and start to say, hey, okay, I'll pick that up. That doesn't belong in that space. I need to put it in its proper place so I can create harmony in my life. And so that's what I think about. And that's what I've been experiencing this past 6 days. I've been seeing how much things I still need to clean up in my space, in my emotional space, and really having the courage to call bullshit on bullshit, my bullshit at least.
Yeah.
and just saying like, okay, you know what? I don't want this to keep on continuing, and perhaps this is a good time for me to just see how I can put an end to this. Putting an end to it, not in a bypassing way where you're just going to ignore it, but really looking at a situation, saying like, what is the lesson I'm supposed to learn from here? Because God knows I don't want to have to learn this lesson again. Can I really learn this lesson the most gentle way possible? And so it doesn't reappear in another pattern in the future. So yeah, I think I think it's a good time to dive into those things right now, if that's something that we are ready for, or if that's something that we are calling into our experience at the moment. And perhaps we can create more beauty by just doing that, by just cleaning. It's amazing what cleaning, the activity of cleaning, can do to the mind, body, heart, and spirit. Like even physical cleaning.
Do you know, Lee, it's amazing that you bring this up, because that is literally the process that I've been going through on many levels. And just this morning before our call, I dropped Felix off, and then I came home, and the first thing I did is I started cleaning. I went around, started grabbing all the plates and things that have been left, because the last 48 hours have been a wild, busy time, right? And a lot of beautiful magic and things. But, you know, like any artist will know, when you're creating art in life, you create a lot of bloody mess sometimes too. And sometimes, like you say, we need to clean up a little bit. And as I was cleaning, it's just feeling that simplicity, like feeling how it just helped ground me and slow down my mind. And then I went and laid on an acupressure mat for another 20 minutes, listening to some nice binaural music, and it's almost like feeling like there's not enough time for any of these things to look after ourselves, right? But interestingly, that very step of cleaning, of taking the 10 minutes to go around and put order into my house, suddenly opened up the time that I couldn't see, but it was there the whole time. And then coming in here, it's just been a beautiful experience. So I'm glad you're bringing that in.
I want to say hello to Raj, who's watching us on TV right now. Hi, Raj, wherever you are listening from. Just seeing here in the chat. I think Alex is here. Hi, Alex. Thanks for putting this up.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, Raj. Yeah, he's actually put a post on BitClout saying he's watching from his TV. That's awesome.
Oh, okay.
So, and yeah, anyone who's watching, you know, jump on cloutforum.org, has all the links for YouTube, Twitch, and we're also live on BitClout. And if you have any questions for us or comments or something you'd like to share, you know, either throw it on those platforms in the chat or jump into the Zoom, and we'd love to. Like Lee, you were mentioning earlier in a message I didn't get a chance to reply to, but we would love to have some interaction in these weekly calls. So they're going to happen the same time every week, and yeah, we'd love to be working together with anyone who wants to join us.
Yeah, I think that would be an exciting thing to do. To since we're just starting, this is our third, fourth episode?
It's our third one, I think.
Third one, okay. So as we move forward, I think it would be exciting to have fourth. Alex says fourth. Thank you, Alex.
Wow. This is why he takes care of the organization.
All right, welcome to our fourth episode. So maybe in the coming episodes, as we grow our community, as we grow our listeners, then we can, it would be great if we can have them part of the conversation, you know, see how, you know, the community is feeling, if they have any thoughts that we can read as we go live, or questions that you and I can, you know, both contemplate on and share insights on. You know, I think that would be great. So this is a good good platform for you to ask your 13 moon dream spell questions. And, you know, we're here to share our experience so far following and tracking this time.
Absolutely. And, you know, we could play absolutely with all kinds of ways that we can have some fun. Maybe if we have some, you know, crew turning up and getting into the Mayan dream spell, they can let us know what their galactic signature is, and we can do little 1 or 2 minute jam sessions or something. You know, like
that would be great.
Mini Mayan astrology reports, and
yeah,
it's always fun. I think between the two of us, we could have a lot of fun with that. So Raj, if you know your galactic Mayan signature, then post it, I guess, on your post, or get it through to us.
Or you can tell us your birthday, and we can decode it on air right now.
Work it out. True, because right? Absolutely, we can do that. Beautiful.
And you can anyone can just put their comment under the post, and Alex, the good man that he is, translates your post into this room that we are in, which is the Zoom room. So Yeah, feel free to throw in your questions. If you want to let us know your birthday, then we can decode your signature right now. That would be great.
Let's see.
Fun, creating beauty.
And I mean, I think this is actually a good working example right now, right, Lee, where, you know, it's like that yellow mirror challenge to the yellow star, right? As you were explaining this, you know, polishing the mirror, putting order in your life so energy can flow. You know, that is that white mirror that kind of comes through, and through intense, constant reflection is, you know, making us have to take responsibility for our environment and for ourselves, as opposed to being a victim of it. And that allows that energy to flow, right? The creativity and the beauty. And so none of us escape that. So even like when we create something like this, right? You know, this satsang for the soul, we can come in every day with ideas of what it's going to be or what it should be like. And if we hold on too tight to that, right, then we're going to be restrictive, and it will just be like this. Yeah, it might be nice, but I think the future of TV, right, the future of entertainment and things, I think there's going to be a lot more of a spontaneous kind of element and co-creative element. And I know for myself, I love circus. Nice. You know, I love the circus world so much, you know, back when I was doing that performance, because I was doing character work on a stage. And then when people are on the in the audience, you know, you would get live feedback. You would get that energy that, you know, that would help almost bring me to life like a puppet, you know, and as the entertainer, if I could clear my ego out, clear the worry about what people will think of me or whether I get it right or wrong, and just clear all that noise and just become the conduit, become the puppet, then the audience would bring out the performance and would almost bring it through me, through that cosmic consciousness, you know, this kind of sphere around the world, this inspiration that we all share. And then, and I guess part of that white mirror for me over the years has been really realizing that it's not me, you know, when I'm doing that performance, when I'm really performing, when I'm in my zone, it's not me. And when I'm doing my talking and sessions, people will say, oh, you've said, you know, what you said was amazing, or, you know, you're such a wise person. It's like, when I'm talking about my personal experiences, sure, that's my wisdom. But there's other times where there's just a stream of consciousness where I'm sharing something that even I'm sitting there listening to my words going, I don't know where that came from. And I'm enjoying it as much as you are, you know, because it doesn't come, it's not me. And there's a kind of magic and empowerment that comes with that when we kind of, you know, in a way, it's that white mirror, removing the ego from being the identity, right? And actually allowing the magic to flow. Then, and I've just seen Raj has commented here in under the YouTube. So he is a red electric dragon.
Ooh.
1981, Raj, great year.
Hi, Raj. I want to give a special shout out to Bibe or Bibe, and of course to Raj on Cloud, on BitCloud.
Yeah. It's be hard keeping track of all this, isn't it? We'll get better, everyone, but definitely all welcome in here.
Red electric dragon, serpent.
Red electric dragon.
Red electric dragon. Okay, I'm an electric, so the propensity or the tendency is activation of, you know, our bond to service, being service oriented. I think these are a lot of the people that are electric that I know are really interested in, you know, the things that they enjoy in life has to do with being of service in the community. You know, not necessarily mistaken that for service industry.
Yeah.
Those are two different things.
Or servitude, which is slavery. Not those ones.
Yes, emotional activation, and activators of the community. They spark emotional activations on people, and red dragon, responsibility. You know, just like the the mama dragon,
The primal mother.
Yeah. Creating, being the mama dragon that's all about responsibility. And then maybe sometimes, dragons take on more responsibility than they can handle. Even if they're no longer their responsibility, it's just this feeling like, how moms are like, they're not supposed to be doing any of those anymore, but they're just like pile it on, pile it on, pile it on. And the opposite of the dragon is the blue monkey, which is like, oh, I don't want responsibility. Also, the challenge of the dragon when we talk about the blue monkey is the challenge to just allow oneself to just play, relax, lighten up, enjoy magic, not having to be bound by responsibilities, letting ourselves really get lost in the moment and just play.
Even as you said that, Lee, it's just like, as you were talking about the dragon and the responsibility, I'm feeling in my body that tension of like, it's that, and then as soon as you say just letting it go, it's like, oh, that playfulness, that lightness, the blue monkey challenge, like you were mentioning before, the antipode to the dragon is, it's actually where I got the slogan for my circus company was from this blue monkey archetype. And there was a poem someone wrote about it once, and it had this line that just hit me and stuck with me for the rest of my life. It still does. And, it was about its role as being healing the terminally serious, and in some ways it's like, that's the eternal challenge of the red dragon archetype, is to be able to be that primal mother, that caring, that nurturer, like you just so beautifully described, that is like the midwife, right? But doing it with a light heart, doing it without taking the responsibility onto your shoulders, but rather being the midwife that supports others take responsibility for their birthing in that sense. And so it makes me think of,
Beautiful.
OC Raj, yay for play. It's a new day. So let's get out of the way.
I love
Raj,
it.
I love that we can chat to you on your couch while you're watching TV across the world. But, Lee, then it brings us open to, when we look at these signatures, anyone watching, whenever you look at your Mayan signature, right? This is the dream spell signature, not the traditional long count. We can talk about that another day. It's too logical for today. But when we're looking at the electric dragon, right? We need to think, okay, so that's the electric tone, as you said, that emotional tone, that's really bonding service and connection, but what is a bonding service and connection to is then where we look at the wave spell, the 13-day period that it lands in. So being the third day of a wave spell, we just kind of count back, right, to yellow lunar sun, which is the day before. And then it goes to the blue magnetic storm, which means, Raj, you were born into the blue storm wave spell. So you are a red electric dragon in the blue storm wave spell, which the blue storm is the world changer. It's the archetype of, that's here to catalyze stagnant energy. You know how a storm goes through like go through a town. And if it's a big storm, it'll show you where, buildings have been built with weak integrity, right? Not good or bad, just simply not strong, right? Not able to withstand the pressures of the future in some senses. So storms come through and kind of test our structures. They test our world to see, is this something that stands up in integrity to where we're going? Or is it no longer relevant and we're just holding on to it and it's becoming stagnant energy, in which case we need to cut that loose so that we can free that energy to rebuild with. And so in that sense, when I think, Raj, with this red electric dragon, it's about being this midwife for transformation, being a midwife that can help support people, help people connect to that storm, to that tower element of change, and to feel safe. Just like when a woman is having a baby and going through the birthing process, it's so important to have support. And that's the role of the midwife, not to have the baby, but to help the mother relax into the baby.
Yeah, beautiful to whenever we look at our own signatures, to pay attention to the wave spell or the purpose. That's also one important part of our charts. So yeah, little few minutes of dive into Raj's signature. So hope that yeah, definitely. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing your signature with us, Raj.
Appreciate it, Raj.
I want to give a shout out to Broody on BitCloud as well. So I'm getting these notifications in my BitCloud, and so I'm excited to see you guys here in my notifications. So
I'm like, where are you seeing all these? Awesome.
It's
awesome.
Just, yeah.
I'm glad you're on it, Lee. Good teamwork. And thanks, Alex.
So, before we close up, because time always is just so elusive, we have been experiencing a quickening of sorts where, time just slips away. Feels like a moment has been an hour already. And sometimes it feels like a moment is an eternity or very slow. That's how I feel when I'm in nature. Time is very, very slow. The mornings are long, the evenings are long, and there's just more time. But I think the more information that we are taking in the cities, at work, time is just so fast. I'm not sure if that makes sense. That's my experience, at least. But during these wave spells, as what we were talking about earlier, with regards to the antipode or the challenge, again, of the yellow stars, the white mirror, the antipode becomes one's strength. When our challenge starts to become our strength, we come into this state of equanimity. We are our archetype, and we are also the other, which is our challenge. It's kind of like our light and shadow polarity. Yeah. When our shadow no longer is our challenge, but it has become our strength. So in these days, for us here in this part of the world, we are already almost halfway through the 13-year period of the yellow star. I think I'd like to leave you with an invitation to perhaps, do you feel inspired to clean up the clutter in your space, in your living space, and see how that can open up to you feeling that you have more space in your life. And there's this amazing book called Clean Up Your Clutter. And it's a book about feng shui. In the West, they call it feng shui, but it's feng shui. It's about understanding that there's a flow of energy in your living space, and that flow of energy can get stuck if our living space is cluttered or it just can't move. It's just like air in the house that cannot move. There are light that can't move. And see if you can make space in your life by cleaning up those clutters. I mean, like, what is something in your house right now that you've been putting under the rug to clean or organize? It could be your computer, like maybe files in your computer. Do you have photographs? Wonderful. And we have 6 days more into this wave spell.
For it's months, amazing. It's been chaos there. I take your invitation and your challenge. That was my vulnerable confession.
Amazing. I mean, it could be anything. It could be your closet. It could be, like I said, it could be your computer, organizing your photos in your iPhotos. Because when we do that, when we delete all the duplicates and all the unnecessary downloads, we're making space. Our computer, instead of like working so hard, because it only has a little bit of storage left, it's working so hard to hold everything together. We're going to give it space of cleaning it up, and then our computer will be able to, Oh, okay, please put that in the trash bin and delete forever. It's like our computer also having the chance to breathe. And if you look at your closet is just like so full of things from the past, like, things in the 80s or 70s we're holding on to that's going to come back in style or not.
One day.
And see really what's going to lighten up our load. And one person was saying, I remember hearing this in the audiobook, that clean up your clutter. And the writer was saying, when a person goes through self-transformation, the first thing she invites them to do is, how is your living space? Can you transform the place that you live in? Because once you start to see order where you live or where you sleep, then that's when you really would start to feel that inside of your body. That things are organized. Then your thoughts in your mind can be organized. I mean, it's just more than just being tidy. It's really creating order. And order means beauty when things are in their proper place. And just on a last note, if you listen to Sadhguru, he also showed this video of him with a Rudraksha bead, and Rudraksha can pick up energy, and so he picked up a piece of paper and he held up the Rudraksha bead. Rudraksha are sacred stones, seeds, sorry, not stones, seeds. And you just hold it up just like a pendulum. It would either circle to the right or circle to the left. One of them represents negative energy. The other one is positive energy. So the same piece of paper, he held the Rudraksha, and it spun in a way that tells you that, oh, this is positive energy. The same piece of paper he crumpled, put in the place, right there, held the Rudraksha, and the Rudraksha moved the other way. That was his example to show that clutter attracts negative energy. So I'm going to leave you with that. When we have clutter around us, it attracts negative energy, because negative energy likes to dwell in dirty places. That's why I think that's why it makes sense. Cleanliness is next to godliness. I think that's what that means.
Isn't it funny how there's all this wisdom hiding around us in the most mundane statements that have been said for eons, and we've just forgotten that they're keys to some of the truths of reality.
Cleanliness is next to godliness. Maybe that's what that means, because when it's clean, it's only pure positive energy. Wow.
Lee, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the wisdom that you bring, for your presence. Thank you everyone who's been tuning in. Raj, massive love, brother. You've been a great support for getting this and helping us as we go forwards, just really supporting on every level. And for the community out there, you've been in a midlife for so many. And Raj is saying he agrees 100% to you, Lee, in that response on the YouTube. And so big shout out to anyone else. I think maybe this has become a regular thing. We'll do like every week, we can pick somebody who's live watching to do their galactic signature like we did with Raj. So make sure you tune in live to tune in for that one. And
we can do that.
And then I guess this is the end of this session. Like you say, Lee, it's such a timeless hour, but I think that's the beauty. And so thank you so much. We're going to go out with Lee singing us one of her beautiful songs. And Lee, thank you again for just saying yes to this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mark. I love you so much. And I love this, what's being created here. And I love our growing community. And I look forward every week to Satsang for the Soul. And again, thank you, Cloud Forum, for hosting us, giving us an hour so we can kind of play and be here with all of you. Last song for the hour. And instead of singing my song, I think since we're talking about Yellow Star, talking about creating beauty in the world, I want to sing something from Louis Armstrong. let's sing something to remind us that we live in such a beautiful world, you know, and what's really true. Go.
I was just gonna say, I just felt sudden wave that I almost started crying as soon as you even said it. I don't even know why. So thank you.
Oh. Move this mic. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed day, dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? But they're really saying, I love you. I hear babies crying, I watch them grow. They learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. We live in such a wonderful world. We live in such a beautiful world. Let's go out there, go out to nature, look out your window. If it's sunny out there, if it's winter, if it's the night sky, an invitation for us to see the beauty. Beauty is already here. Sometimes we don't really need to create it. We just got to see it. Love you all so much.
You are the most precious, precious human, Lee Green. Thank you so much for that gift.
It's only a
And
reflection.
These tears are helping to clear my mirror and my space. So thank you. They're tears of joy.
Love you.
I love you. I love you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Cloudform.
Yeah,
See you next week.
Alex.